Hey guys, Bigsteviepump here, coming at you live on the Bigsteviepump experience from Flealand of Bowling Green, Kentucky. Find out what's special about this Stone Cold Steve Austin figure next. I want to kind of show like an evolution of some wrestling figures today over the course of time. But what we're going to start with is what I teased in the opening there. So this is the first Stone Cold Steve Austin action figure that they ever made. So this was in Bad Boys. It was actually Series 4. This was the first wave that they actually called Bad Boys. But basically, and on that, this is the line of, it was kind of villains at the time, the bad guys there, so that's what's called Bad Boys, and I just happen to have the Vader as well, loose. So I have the Stone Cold loose and sealed, so I just wanted to kind of show this. So this is, I couldn't wait to get this, and I remember walking into Toys R Us, which is no longer with us, and well, I guess kind of, they're trying to do some pathetic Toys R Us's, I guess, but in Rivergate in Nashville, Tennessee, technically. So I couldn't even stand it when I found this. I'd been waiting for it, and I got it, and this is one of the ones from, like 97, I think is when I got this. Let's see, 97, that's what I thought. So that's when this come out, 1997, and I remember walking into Toys R Us, and I literally wiped them out. Yeah, I bought, they had 4 of them, I bought all 4 of them. And this is one that's come to me later. This is one from my personal collection that I've had sitting for all that time. I've been, sitting on it for that much time. And like I said, along the way, things come in, but these are called bone crunchers. And what it says here, I want to show that again, where it says bone crunching action. So the cool thing about these were, and we're going to get into the evolution of wrestling figures here in a minute, and one of the reasons these were so cool is, they don't really have a ton of articulation. For this time, though, you were super stoked to have that much articulation in an action figure, but they called it bone crunch in action because you probably can't hear it. I don't know if the camera can pick that click up or not with all the music's going on, but that's why it was called bone crunching action, because when you would click them, so inside of this like rubber, this is kind of a rubberish type feel. The body's a hard plastic and the arms are like kind of rubber. Anyway, couldn't wait to get my hands on these. These were so awesome back in the day. And I mean, look at this. You're gonna have, the stunner, and Vader's down, folks. 1, 2, 3. Of course Stone Cold's gonna beat Vader. Give me a hell yeah. All right, we're going to show, now this is probably the worst wrestling figure of all time, not specifically this giant, but this line. Now you can obviously see this package is yellowing. Let's see if he still works. No, he don't. These figures had a big red button protruding out of the side of them, and they take a big AA battery. You can't see the back of him, but on his back there's a, might be a AAA. I can't remember if it's a AA or AAA, but there's a big panel that you unscrew and take it off. Let's flip that around. This was the first wave of these, and so these are horrible. This was done in, I think this was around the same time frame, 97. So you tell me in 1997, what are you gonna wanna buy? This piece of crap garbage or this? So that's why I was so excited to get this, and wrestling fans in general were excited for this sort of style coming. So we're gonna, like I said, go through a little evolution here. This is in 84. This is the way they were doing them from 84 to 89. This is Nikolai Volkov here, and this is part of the WWF LJN line. Now, that was kind of the first wrestlers, and they start progressing towards, this style, like the bone cruncher. Well, also in these LJN lines, I just happened to pull an old Roddy Piper. These are Bendhams. Let's take Roddy out of the bag. So, and this one's seen better days, but even still, this is from 85. This is probably 86. But, you could bend their arms, and that was kind of they're not so great. But these other ones aren't really flexible at all. They're, pretty stiff. So that's kind of the deal with these. So this is made by the same people, LJN. But this is kind of what we were dealing with. Now, I'm just going to randomly grab, this is a Just Toys. This was made probably in the very late 90s, early 2000s. But this is kind of, they were doing you know, kind of an homage, a throwback to that, and, you know, still kind of doing the Bendham figures. Now, the difference is, one thing you can see, he's kind of got an autograph on his back. I thought that was an odd touch. I don't really know why they did that. This is Billy Gunn. I don't know if I said that or not. But these are some of the types of figures. All right, so this, I showed this horrible giant figure. Well, after they did these and everybody complained about them and they thought they were awful and stuff, you know, we were, actually, I think this might have been first, but this is a Johnny B. Bad, Mark Marrow. Looked like Little Richard back in the day, but this guy's pretty underrated. He's actually going to be at a show here in Bowling Green, Kentucky at the Corvette Museum, signing autographs and stuff here March 14th. But I'm just going to kind of, here's a Paul Orndorff. I grabbed two of the, we'll show him anyway. I grabbed two that look like that. Now, I just also happened to grab, going back to the Nikolai Volkov. This is from '84, and this right here is from the early 2000s. And so I showed two different Nikolai Volkovs just for comparison. So you can see, now this would have originally came with his hat, which I don't have in this particular figure, but you can see here this cloth accessory, the real hat, and of course these have got good articulation. This was, after this is what Jakks was doing, and then they evolved into these. So this classic Superstars line is one of the most iconic lines that was ever produced. So many figures that got their debut. They never had action figures before, and this was a very iconic line. Everybody loved this. This is still to this day, until we get to the Mattel, which is we're moving along towards that. But I wanted to show this particular Jakks figure. So this is a Shawn Michaels, but they wanted to do it in an inspired style like the LJN. So this is like a rubber figure just like this Nikolai, but this is a newer figure that Jakks put out paying homage to this line back in the day. So that's the reason I chose that Shawn Michaels. And as we progress on down through time, one of the figures I didn't grab is like the Hasbros, which come out in the early 90s. I've got some over in my case and I just didn't grab one, but they're basically exactly like this. But this is a Brock Lesnar. This is actually made by Mattel to pay homage to the old Hasbro line. And these guys, they would do things like have, they would have spring action like that, where you're supposed to slam them. And that's what they did back. Oh, okay, great. I actually have an extremely rare one. Cousin Davey here, quick to the march there, he brought this Bret Hart. So this Bret Hart was actually originally issued on like a red card. This is a very rare Bret Hart, rare to the tune of about 150 bucks. That's what this figure goes for. So this is a very choice piece, but you can see the Hasbro, this is the original, and this is the Mattel that, that they did to, to pay homage to that, to inspire it. And people, they love these. They actually do. I wasn't the biggest fan of the Hasbros. That's why I was excited when they started getting into more, figures like this. I'm just not a big spring action guy. That's just not my thing. I don't like weird buttons. I don't like spring action and stuff like that. Another thing that Jakks did is every once in a while they would try their hand at just something that's completely off the wall. And like this Camo Carnage. So these figures were unlike any of the other figures they were doing at the time. But this is, this was a very just oddball line. And you can see on the back that where it's showing the Bone Crunchers that I was showing earlier. And then now you've got the Stomp figures. So another cool thing, so going back to this, where I showed that Jakks was doing the LJN style, well, so did Mattel. So this is really awesome. So, kind of a little history on the early LJN figures is at the very end of the line in 1989, when they went to cancel the line, they made black cards. So all the early figures were issued on a blue card, like kind of the blue font, the way this looks. Well, the very last run of the line, they actually made black cards. So Mattel just released these at the end of last year, at the end of 2025, and they did a chase version. So there's a regular blue card version of Cena, and then there's a black card version. Same with Hogan, all the ones they did. There's a black carded version that's a chase. So this is actually the rare John Cena, but this is really cool because going back to this style, once again, back in the day, that's how they released them, with the file card, and then they showed the other figures in the set and all that. So very cool. All right, so this is the cool piece, this John Cena, and I just want to show a few other ones. So this is what Mattel's doing now. This is a basic figure. So I've talked about this before, and of course I don't think I grabbed an elite, but I don't think I have an elite handy. But this is a basic figure that Mattel's doing this. So this is the style of things they're kind of doing now. Well, every once in a while they'll try their hand at something, an oddball. So this is kind of like the Masters of the Universe style, like an old, this is with that kind of scale and articulation, they're similar to the old He-Man figures from the early 80s. So this is another Ultimate Warrior, and then I just so happened to grab what's called an Ultimate. So I grabbed an Ultimate Warrior. So this right now currently is Mattel's premium line. This is their premium action figure line. So like I said, this is their basic, and then they actually have one in the between called an elite style, and I've showed them before many times on my show, so I know you've seen them, but I just didn't happen to grab one handy today. I'm mainly just kind of wanting to showcase the evolution of wrestling figures, and every once in a while you'll get a different company that'll make an action figure. And so this right here is the Fanaticos line, and this is Vampiro, very underrated figure of Vampiro, very underrated character. So they're making figures that don't have license by WWE to make a figure. Like other companies will kind of branch out and try to make figures in scale, you know, to make them live in the same world with the other figures. The only other thing I'm going to show here is perhaps the greatest pack of all time. Every once in a while, you know, everybody's like, the wrestling figures are so popular, you have all these companies trying to knock off stuff. This is just some generic, something you'd find at the dollar store. I just thought that would be hilarious to show. All right, so I just want to show a little hodgepodge of kind of weird random things that, like, so this is out of Kellogg's cereal. It's a little warped the way it was, but it's like a Frisbee. But, you know, Iron Man and Cap from the Avengers movie. It's just like, but these sort of things, I mean, obviously it's not like people's beating down the door, you know, to look for this stuff. But look, this is an unsigned, you know, thank you card or whatever. But this is from 1997, you know. It's just like, why does this still, like, why is this floating around the world? But it is, and we have it. And then same with, like, this Ghostbusters is actually out of like a DVD or whatever. I don't think there's a DVD in here. It was like part of the, you know, it's like pretty cool. If you're a Ghostbusters fan, this has got some pretty cool information, but this is this type of stuff that people like. I mean, just because it's so oddball. And sadly, I don't even have any true values on any of this stuff. I've not really looked it up. It's just stuff we accumulate, or, you know, we take in deals. And sorry, I don't even think anybody's ever opened it. I'm probably taking it on its virgin voyage there, but it's so stiff, and I'm pretty sure it had never been opened. But this is a pretty cool thing. It's got all this, like, I guess, sketch work. They're showing the artwork that they did it. So I don't know. I think this is cool. Any Ghostbusters fan would like this. If they're a hardcore Ghostbusters that, you know, collects just memorabilia besides just the action figure line or whatever. And then you've actually got a couple of comics. Here's like Transformers Shattered Class 2, issue number 1. So, and this is sealed. So this one's never been opened, and I guess they actually packaged it with a board. So you know, that's kind of cool, I guess, but you can't see the artwork on the back, probably just an advertisement anyway. And then this is actually a cool book, Child's Play, Chucky. Now this one here, let's take it out. This is bagged and board, but we can take Chucky out. And they're advertising Child's Play 3 on the back, which I guess that's actually what it says there, Child's Play 3. But like, look at Chucky there. Everybody loves Chucky. I mean, he's, okay, I just wanted to see, there's nothing too terribly graphic here. It's like a cartoon, it's a comic, just to show a few pages there. He's getting kicked in the face, but I'm not really seeing any blood and guts. So there's a knife, so who knows? I mean, with Chucky, you figure at some point we're going to see some blood and guts. But anyway, this is just some more of the kind of cool randomness that we pick up, like Gundam model kits. I mean, it's like, this is a whole crate of Gundam model kits right here that's still in the middle of being processed. I'm not sure this is something Davey's doing. I mean, you know, Davey does stuff that I don't even know about sometimes, like, you know, when he might steal an Employee of the Month trophy or something like that. You just never know what Cousin Davey's going to be up to. Now, this one has definitely seen better days. You know, it's kind of beat up, but this is still a very cool collection. This one was obviously wherever this was at, in an attic or storage unit or garage or where it was at. This is obviously the one on top because it collected all the dust and took all the damage. But still, this is, once again, you just literally never know what we're going to take in, what we're going to get from week to week. We've been here almost 5 years, and we got a lot of our customers that know that we're always willing, dealing, trading, and they bring us stuff. So bring us some stuff, whatever you got. Come down and see us. Booth D31, Flealand of Bowling Green, Kentucky, Kentucky's largest flea market. Memorabilia Collectibles. Guys, thank you for joining me today on the Big Stevie Pump Experience. I appreciate you tuning in each and every week. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And like I said before, if there's anything that you want to see, let us know. You know, let us know in the comments. Check us out on Facebook, Memorabilia Collectibles. You can find us there. On Instagram, you can find us or whatever. Or me personally, Big Stevie Pump. You can find me on those handles pretty much everywhere. So once again, I appreciate you joining me. You know, keep sticking with me. Big Stevie Pump out.